Alright, so here are a few of the tools that you're going to need to disassemble your UTG MK96. You're going to need a couple screwdrivers and a couple different sizes, some hex keys, and maybe some ice cream. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is take off our scope or any other optic that you have on the top of the gun, because we're going to need to turn it over to disassemble it. We don't want to damage it. So, remove your optic, set it aside. We're going to flip our gun over, and we're going to pop out our magazine. We're going to grab our 3/16 Allen key and remove 2 bolts right behind the trigger and right behind the magazine. Well, you're going to turn them until you hear a small clicking noise, which will let you know that they're done. Okay. So, flip it over. And gently pull up on the rear and pull up on the front, because you don't want to bend, break, or otherwise hurt any part of the gun. So now that we have this undone, you have your lower body, which has no mechanics. All it is the body. Don't need this for anything right now. So the next thing that we shall do is take our tiny Allen key, should be the smallest one you have in most sets. We're going to take out this bolt, this Allen key screw right here. Some models of the L96 or MK96 have it, some don't. So we're going to take this little guy out. That will allow us to remove the outer barrel. Okay. Now when we unscrew the outer barrel, it's also going to take the inner and the hop up with it. So we're going to do this for a while, because it has a lot of threads. Yep. We're going to unscrew it. That's right. There we go. Alright, so we got our outer barrel off. Next thing we're going to do is pull this strangely shaped piece of metal out of the trigger assembly. That's going to allow you to remove your bolts. But now that you did that, in order to get the bolt back in, we're going to need to take off our trigger assembly, which I will show you how to do because it's very annoying. You're going to need to take out these 2 small Phillips head screws on either side. Another right around here. Didn't do that, but I'm going to take out these 2 screws. And your trigger assembly will lift right off. Usually you don't have to worry about anything inside here, because if it breaks, the whole thing is kind of screwed. You need to replace everything. You can remove these 2 screws to take off your safety if you feel like doing that. Okay, so now you got all your pieces for your bolt assembly. You got your bolt, trigger, your cylinder. To disassemble your cylinder, you need to use a special tool, or what I do sometimes is take a pair of pliers and stick one side in each hole, and you twist that to undo it. When you do this, you're going to have your spring guide, and your piston all pop out the end. It's really simple. It's really easy to do. If you're replacing the spring, unscrew this, replace everything, replace your old spring with your new spring, put everything back in, tighten this. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do, so I'm not going to do it right now. But if you wish to take out your hop-up unit and your inner barrel, you're going to need to undo this small Phillips head screw on the magazine release, which is directly attached to the hop-up unit inside. Once you have this off, you can use a screwdriver to push this, and you can also undo the tip of the barrel to push on the inner barrel. So here it is, 515 millimeters. This is your hop-up unit. That's where your bolt goes to adjust the hop-up. You screw this in, pulls on this piece of metal, which pushes or releases this piece of plastic, adjusting your hop-up. To undo it, to undo your inner barrel, you undo this small bolt, disassemble the hop-up, slide it out, put your new one in. All right, but now the important part, the disassembly is always easy. The assembly is the hard part. It's like taking off in an airplane. Landing is the hard part. So if you look inside here, you can see there is a bushing, a little foam bushing that holds the inner barrel in place along the outer barrel. We are going to stick our inner barrel into our outer barrel. Push it all the way down. I have to use my Allen key to push it into the correct spot on the inner barrel, the outer barrel. Just want to position it correctly so that all your screws will thread. I've done this already. I'm going to take my magazine release, place it on the outer barrel, and screw it back on. It is spring-loaded, so it's kind of annoying. Just hold it, I guess. Now this screw is going into a brass fitting, so you want to be very gentle, not over tighten it too much, just get it nice and snug so that it doesn't go anywhere. Now we are going to insert our bolt assembly. Make sure that's down. We're going to take our trigger assembly, place it onto the bolt assembly. Make sure that your screws are lined up. All you need to do is screw them in gently so that you don't break off the little plastic tabs that hold the assembly on. Next step will be to take your weird shaped metal piece and you're going to insert it so that it matches up with the inside of your trigger. You are going to then, forgot to put the outer barrel tip back on. It's important. Oh, and you're also going to need to remove your orange tip that comes with the gun. To do this, I just was able to twist mine off with a pair of pliers. If you can't do that, maybe put it in a vise and hammer it off with a screwdriver or a punch. That would be the best thing that you could do. The next step will be to insert the outer barrel over the cylinder, the bolt assembly, excuse me, and screw it on. Yep. Just keep going. Carpal tunnel. So, it's never going to screw on directly so that it's facing in the right direction. You're always going to need to get it down. You need to make sure it's level by taking a magazine, pushing it on, and getting it level. It should be fairly easy. It doesn't need to be exact. Then you're going to take this very, very small Allen screw and reinsert it back into the bottom of the bolt assembly. Alright, don't over tighten that either because you don't want to damage your threads. That should be all for this stage. Just want to check over and make sure you've done everything correctly. Before you put it back into your body, whenever you disassemble something, it's probably a good idea to make sure that it is working. Take your gun off safe, make sure it fires. Does. So now we're going to reinsert it back into the body. It's kind of a three-handed operation. Do the best you can to not damage the gun. Squeeze it down, make sure it's tight. You got your little spring-loaded tab right here that's going to push on the outer barrel. Make sure it's all the way it should be. Place your gun upside down. And you're not going to have to worry about these hex keys that are holding the bolt assembly to the body of the gun because they stay inside the body at all times, so you don't need to worry about losing them. It's very convenient. Just tighten these up also so that they are snug. Ooh. Fairly tight. Make sure your magazine fits in correctly. Pops out. Works well. That's pretty much all you guys need to know on how to disassemble and reassemble your UTG MK96.